In this chapter, the author introduces the concept of principles and explains their importance in achieving success in various aspects of life. He compares principles to the strategies that successful players use in games to achieve winning results. The author believes that understanding and applying principles effectively can help individuals interact with the world more effectively and achieve better outcomes. He acknowledges that different people may subscribe to different principles, but he shares the principles that have led to the success of his organization, Bridgewater. The author emphasizes that these principles are not meant to be blindly followed, but rather to be reflected upon and tested in one's own experiences. He encourages readers to consider these principles as part of their own process of discovering what works best for them. The chapter concludes by outlining the structure of the book, with Part 1 explaining the importance of principles, Part 2 discussing the author's fundamental life principles, and Part 3 delving into. The author also mentions the possibility of writing about other types of principles, such as investment principles, in the future. In this chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of principles in our lives. He believes that having principles that align with our values is crucial for achieving success and fulfillment. The author encourages readers to reflect on their own principles and consider their origins. He explains that principles serve as guiding beacons that help us make choices and navigate through life's challenges. Without principles, we would be at the mercy of circumstances and unable to make the most of our lives. The author also discusses the significance of shared principles in relationships, highlighting that people with aligned values and principles tend to get along better. He encourages readers to evaluate their closest relationships and assess whether their principles are in harmony. The author emphasizes the importance of personal experiences and reflections in shaping our principles. He suggests that through asking difficult questions and making tough choices, we refine our principles and align them with our core values. The author concludes by inviting readers to join him in thoughtfully discussing and exploring the principles that guide our actions. He acknowledges that while this document represents his own principles, others may have their own principles and ways of determining what is important. Ultimately, the author hopes that readers will develop their own set of principles that resonate with them and lead to personal growth and success. In this chapter, the author shares his most fundamental life principles and where they stem from. He begins by discussing his background, growing up in a middle-class neighborhood, and his early experiences with work and investing in the stock market. Through these experiences, he learned important lessons about confidence, the cost of bad opinions, the importance of independent thinking, and the need to constantly gather information and strengthen. The author also emphasizes the importance of working for what you want, coming up with independent opinions, stress testing those opinions, being wary of overconfidence, and reflecting on the consequences. He shares his own journey of self-discovery and personal growth, from learning how to meditate to starting his own company, Bridgewater. The author believes that truth, or an accurate understanding of reality, is the essential foundation for producing good outcomes. He discusses the importance of facing harsh realities, being truthful with oneself and others, and recognizing and addressing weaknesses. He also emphasizes the need to push one's limits and embrace pain as a necessary part of the learning and growth process. The author concludes by discussing the personal evolutionary process and the importance of making choices that align with one's goals and values. He highlights 5 key choices that can radically affect the quality of one's life and the rate at which they move towards their goals: embracing pain, seeking truth. Overall, the chapter provides valuable insights and practical advice for achieving success and personal growth by embracing reality, learning from mistakes, and making choices that. In this chapter, the author discusses the 5-step process for achieving what you want in life. The first step is setting clear goals, which will determine your direction. The second step is identifying and not tolerating problems that stand in the way of achieving your goals. The third step is diagnosing the root causes of these problems, which requires being calm and logical. The fourth step is designing a plan to overcome these problems and achieve your goals. The fifth and final step is executing the tasks outlined in the plan. The author emphasizes the importance of not losing sight of your goals and constantly referring back to them throughout the process. Additionally, the author encourages seeking help and feedback from others to compensate for any weaknesses in the different steps. The chapter concludes by highlighting the core values and principles that guide the author's approach to achieving success and happiness. In this chapter, the author discusses the importance of having principles in both individual and group settings. They explain that while individuals can choose their own values and principles, groups must agree on a set of values and principles in order to create a clear and effective culture. The author believes that in order to have a great company, both the culture and the people within the organization must be great. They emphasize the importance of setting goals, identifying problems, and designing solutions in order to move towards those goals. The author introduces the concept of a feedback loop, where outcomes are compared to goals and adjustments are made to improve the mission of the organization. They argue that the more frequently and effectively this feedback loop is utilized, the more rapidly the organization will evolve. The author then applies these principles to their own company, Bridgewater, and explains the values and principles they have chosen for their organization. They emphasize the importance of working for what you want, coming up with independent opinions, stress testing those opinions, being wary of overconfidence, and reflecting on decisions to improve. The author concludes by stating that this way of being is challenging but necessary for success, and provides an outline of over 200 principles that encompass all aspects of managing. In this chapter, the author presents a set of principles for creating a successful and effective culture within an organization. The principles focus on trust, openness, integrity, learning from mistakes, effective communication, and making accurate assessments of people and situations. The author emphasizes the importance of creating an environment where everyone feels comfortable speaking up and sharing their opinions, as well as the need for constant self-reflection and self-improvement. The chapter also discusses the importance of hiring the right people, managing them effectively, and making decisions based on logical analysis and expected value calculations. Overall, the principles outlined in this chapter provide a comprehensive guide for creating a positive and productive organizational culture. In this chapter, the author discusses the principles necessary to create a culture of trust and openness within an organization. The first principle is to trust in truth, understanding that embracing reality and dealing with it effectively is crucial for success. Being truthful allows for personal growth and learning, as well as maintaining alignment with one's values. The second principle is to create an environment where everyone has the right to express their opinions and concerns without fear of judgment. Openness leads to truth and trust, and discussing issues openly helps to resolve them. The third principle is to have integrity and demand it from others. Being true to oneself and avoiding duality improves focus, efficiency, and camaraderie within the organization. The fourth principle is to never say anything about a person that you wouldn't say to them directly, as talking behind people's backs undermines trust and productivity. The fifth principle is to not let loyalty stand in the way of truth and openness. Healthy loyalty fosters improvement through addressing mistakes and weaknesses openly. The sixth principle is to be radically transparent, providing people with as much exposure as possible to what's going on around them. This enhances accuracy and the pursuit of truth. The seventh principle is to not tolerate dishonesty, as it hinders progress. It is important to engage in logical, unemotional discussions to explore possible sources of problems. Overall, these principles create a culture of trust, openness, and integrity, leading to success and personal growth within the organization. In this chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of creating a culture where it is acceptable to make mistakes, but unacceptable not to learn from them. The author argues that mistakes are a natural part of the innovation process, and that learning from them can lead to rapid improvements. By treating mistakes as learning opportunities, individuals and organizations can grow and evolve. The author shares a story about a ski instructor who taught Michael Jordan how to ski. Jordan embraced his mistakes and used them as opportunities to improve. However, the author notes that many people allow their ego to stand in the way of learning from mistakes. This is especially true for individuals who have excelled in traditional school settings, where the focus is often on having the right answers and avoiding mistakes. The author encourages individuals to observe patterns of mistakes to identify weaknesses. By recognizing and addressing these weaknesses, individuals can overcome obstacles and achieve their goals. The author emphasizes that weaknesses should not be viewed as attacks, but rather as opportunities for improvement. Furthermore, the author advises against worrying about looking good and instead focusing on achieving goals. They argue that accurate criticisms are valuable and should be appreciated as they contribute to the learning process. Blame and credit should not be the focus, but rather the accuracy of feedback. The author also emphasizes the importance of identifying who made mistakes as a way to foster a culture of accountability and learning. They argue that connecting specific mistakes to specific individuals is essential for growth and progress. To aid in self-reflection and improvement, the author suggests writing down weaknesses and reflecting on them. By acknowledging and addressing weaknesses, individuals can evolve and improve. Lastly, the author encourages individuals to embrace pain and use it as an opportunity for reflection and growth. They argue that pain can lead to progress if individuals can calm themselves down and think clearly about the underlying issues causing the pain. Overall, the chapter emphasizes the importance of creating a culture that values mistake-based learning and encourages individuals to reflect on their weaknesses. By embracing mistakes and weaknesses, individuals and organizations can achieve rapid improvement and growth. In this chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of constantly getting in sync with others in order to achieve better outcomes. This involves engaging in conversations, debates, and discussions to determine what is true and what should be done. The author encourages open-mindedness and assertiveness, urging individuals to focus on finding the truth rather than winning arguments. They also highlight the significance of questioning one's own beliefs and being wary of closed-minded and inexperienced individuals. The chapter emphasizes the need for responsible parties to be open-minded and transparent in explaining their decisions and for conflicts to be seen as opportunities for alignment and resolution. The author also discusses the hierarchy of merit and the importance of considering the believability and track record of individuals when evaluating their opinions. The chapter concludes by emphasizing the need to invest time and energy in effective communication and decision-making, and the importance of assigning personal responsibilities. Overall, the chapter highlights the value of open debate, discussion, and teaching in order to reach the best answers and maintain a meritocracy of ideas. In this chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of selecting the right people for your team and creating a great culture. They highlight that almost everything good comes from having great people operating in a great culture. The author discusses the process of matching individuals to the job by visualizing the job and the qualities needed to do it well, and then ascertaining if the individual possesses those qualities. They stress the importance of finding people who share your values, such as a drive for excellence, truthfulness, a high sense of ownership, and strong character. The author also emphasizes the need for responsible parties to bear the consequences of their actions and to choose wisely when delegating responsibilities to others. They explain that the results you achieve will reflect how you and your team handle things, so it is important to hold yourself and others accountable for producing great results. The author concludes by stating that the most important responsible parties are those who are most responsible for the goals, outcomes, and missions, and that it is crucial to choose individuals who understand. In this chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of recognizing and understanding the different ways in which people are built. He discusses the differences in values, abilities, and skills, and how these factors determine compatibility and success in relationships and roles. The author delves into the various ways in which people think, such as left-brained versus right-brained thinking, detailed versus big-picture thinking, memory-based learning versus reasoning-based. The author also explores the differences between planners and perceivers, those driven by emotions versus those driven by intellect, risk takers versus risk-averse individuals, and the author encourages the use of personality assessment tests and reflections on experiences to identify these differences and ensure that they are embraced and considered in interactions. The chapter concludes with the reminder that people who think differently may have difficulty communicating and relating to one another, and it is important to be mindful of these challenges. Overall, the chapter highlights the significance of understanding and appreciating the diverse ways in which people are built in order to create successful teams and assign responsibilities effectively. In this chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of hiring the right people for your organization. The penalties of hiring the wrong person can be huge, so it's crucial to invest time and effort into the hiring process. Instead of focusing solely on skills, the author suggests weighing values and abilities more heavily when making hiring decisions. It's important to determine whether the candidate shares the same goals and values as your organization. To ensure a successful hire, the author recommends writing a detailed job description that includes the profile of the ideal candidate. It's also important to select appropriate people and tests for assessing the qualities needed for the job. The results of these assessments should be compared to what you've decided is needed for the job. The author also advises choosing interviewers who can identify the qualities you're looking for in a candidate. It's important to remember that people tend to pick people like themselves, so selecting interviewers who embody the desired qualities can lead to better hiring decisions. Personality assessments can also be a valuable tool in understanding a candidate's abilities, preferences, and style. When evaluating candidates, it's important to dig deep and understand the reasons behind their past actions. Performance in school may not necessarily reflect the qualities and abilities you're looking for, so it's important to look beyond academic achievements. Checking references and talking to people who know the candidate can provide valuable insights into their track record. The author also emphasizes the importance of candidates asking great questions during the interview process. This shows their curiosity and engagement, which are important qualities to look for in potential hires. It's important to be transparent with candidates and show them the real picture of your organization. Sharing the principles and values of your company can help candidates understand how you operate and why. Instead of hiring people solely based on their fit for a specific job, the author suggests hiring people you want to share your life with. Long-term relationships based on shared missions and values are more valuable and efficient in the long run. Lastly, the author advises looking for people who sparkle and stand out from the crowd. Hiring someone who is outstanding in their field can make a huge difference in the success of your organization. Overall, the key takeaway from this chapter is to be thorough and thoughtful in the hiring process. By focusing on values, abilities, and fit, you can increase the chances of hiring the right people for your organization. In this chapter, the author discusses the principles of effective management. They emphasize the importance of understanding the differences between managing, micromanaging, and not managing. Micromanaging involves telling employees exactly what tasks to do and doing their tasks for them, while not managing means allowing employees to do their jobs without oversight. Effective management involves constantly improving the performance of your team and understanding how well they are working towards achieving goals. The author uses the analogy of skiing together to describe the ideal relationship between a manager and their team. Like a ski instructor, a manager should have close contact with their employees, assessing their strengths and weaknesses and providing guidance and feedback. An experienced skier would be more critical and better able to assess the performance of another skier than a novice skier. The chapter also emphasizes the importance of constantly comparing outcomes to goals and identifying problems. Managers should diagnose whether the problems lie with the organization's design or with how employees are handling their responsibilities. By constantly analyzing and addressing problems, managers can make improvements and achieve better results. The author encourages managers to have a top-down perspective looking at the bigger picture and understanding how their team fits into the larger organization. They should connect the specific case at hand to their principles for handling similar issues. By doing so, managers can make better decisions and handle problems more effectively. The chapter also discusses the importance of clear communication, assigning responsibilities, and holding people accountable. Managers should avoid micromanaging and instead focus on helping their employees understand and fulfill their responsibilities. They should also hold themselves accountable and appreciate when others hold them accountable. The author emphasizes the importance of caring about the people who work for you and creating a positive work environment. Managers should act in the best interest of the community and recognize that their own well-being is connected to the well-being of the organization. They should also challenge their employees and themselves to do difficult things in order to achieve excellence. Overall, this chapter provides valuable insights and principles for effective management. By following these principles, managers can improve their own performance and the performance of their team, leading to greater success for the organization as a whole. In this chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of constantly probing and challenging your team in order to achieve excellence. Even if your team is performing well, it is crucial to continue pushing them to improve. The author also highlights the significance of inviting criticism and feedback from your team, as this not only helps you become a better leader, but also brings any underlying issues to the surface. Communication is a two-way responsibility, and by encouraging your team to challenge you, you strengthen the entire team. The author also advises probing to the level below your direct reports, as understanding how they manage others is essential. Additionally, it is important to welcome probing and to probe others, as few people see themselves objectively. By doing so, you can gain a better understanding of potential problems before they occur. The author encourages leaders to fight all battles, no matter how small, as they can be indicative of larger issues. Asking difficult questions and independently auditing are also crucial in holding people accountable. It is important not to assume that people's answers are correct, and to occasionally double-check them. Lastly, the author suggests making the probing process transparent rather than private, as this promotes a culture of transparency and freedom to find the truth. Overall, this chapter emphasizes the importance of continuous probing and challenging in order to achieve excellence and maintain a high-performing team. In this chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of evaluating people accurately rather than kindly. The author suggests that accurate assessments are crucial for excellence. The chapter provides several principles and strategies for evaluating people accurately. One strategy is to use evaluation tools such as performance surveys, metrics, and formal reviews to document all aspects of a person's performance. These tools can help clarify assessments and facilitate communication surrounding them. The chapter also introduces the concept of baseball cards or believability matrices for keeping records of people's performance. These records can be used to convey what a person is like and simplify discussions about compensation, incentives, and career advancement. The author emphasizes the importance of evaluating employees with the same rigor as job candidates. It is suggested that managers should ask themselves if they would hire a person knowing what they now know about them. The chapter also highlights the significance of understanding what makes people tick, as their values, abilities, and skills are the real drivers of their behavior. Developing a full profile of each person can help determine suitable roles and appropriate training. The chapter also addresses the value of accurate criticisms and the need for constant, clear, and honest feedback. It is suggested that providing feedback constantly is the most effective way to train individuals. The author advises putting compliments and criticisms into perspective and encourages objective reflection. Employee reviews are discussed as a periodic review of performance and an opportunity to assess what a person is like in relation to their job. The chapter emphasizes the importance of personal evolution and the need to identify strengths and weaknesses. It is suggested that career paths should evolve based on individual preferences and strengths. The author also highlights the importance of looking at what people have done to learn what they are like and to understand how they can be expected to handle their responsibilities in the future. The chapter concludes by reminding managers to avoid the two biggest mistakes in assessing people: being overconfident in their assessments and failing to get in sync on those assessments. It is suggested that managers should strive for a non-hierarchical approach to assessments and engage in frank conversations about mistakes and weaknesses. The chapter emphasizes the value of reaching an agreement and documenting it for future success. Overall, this chapter provides valuable insights and strategies for evaluating people accurately and effectively. By following these principles, managers can make more informed decisions about personnel and create a culture of excellence. In this chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of training and testing people through experiences. They explain that training is not just about acquiring knowledge, but about guiding personal evolution. Both the trainee and the trainer need to be open-minded and willing to learn from each other. It is recommended to have at least two trainers working with each trainee to get different perspectives on their progress. The author also highlights the difference between memory-based learning and hands-on, internalized learning. They argue that experience creates internalization, which leads to a deeper understanding and better performance. It is important to provide constant feedback to put the learning in perspective and help individuals improve. The chapter also emphasizes the importance of treating everything as a case study and understanding the principles that apply. Instead of dictating what people should do, the author suggests teaching them how to think and make decisions. Mistakes should be seen as learning opportunities, but feedback is crucial for the learning process. The author also discusses the importance of recognizing acceptable and unacceptable mistakes and not allowing the latter. They suggest weighing the potential damage of a mistake against the benefit of incremental learning. Behavior modification is mentioned as a process that takes about 18 months of constant reinforcement. It starts with intellectualizing the desired behavior, overcoming obstacles, and consistently practicing it until it becomes internalized. The chapter concludes by highlighting the difference between training and rehabilitation. Training focuses on developing skills and helping individuals evolve, while rehabilitation aims to create significant changes in values and abilities, which is often difficult and time-consuming. Overall, this chapter emphasizes the importance of experiential learning, constant feedback, and personal evolution in training individuals. It encourages a hands-on approach and highlights the value of mistakes as learning opportunities. In this chapter, the author discusses the importance of sorting people into the right jobs at Bridgewater or removing them from the company altogether. The author emphasizes that if someone is not a good fit for a particular job, it is crucial to get them out of it as soon as possible. Hoping for improvement or expecting people to change quickly is a mistake, as people generally change slowly. Instead, the author suggests sorting people or changing the design to accommodate their weaknesses. The author also mentions that sometimes even good people may lose their positions because they cannot evolve into responsible parties quickly enough. In such cases, it is important to identify the failure. The reasons for the change should be recorded on the relevant baseball card to keep track of the individual's progress. Furthermore, the author emphasizes that it is much worse to keep someone in a job they are not suited for than to fire them. Keeping underperforming individuals not only prevents their personal evolution, but also has negative consequences for the community and erodes meritocracy. The costs of not firing someone unsuited for a job include prolonged bad performance, a negative effect on the environment, wasted time and effort in training, and the greater pain of when someone is without a box, meaning they do not have a suitable position at Bridgewater. The author suggests considering whether there is an open box that would be a better fit. If not, it is recommended to let them go. The author reminds readers that the purpose of hiring is not just to fill a specific job or based solely on skills, but to select people with whom they would like to share their lives. Everyone is expected to evolve at Bridgewater, and managers have valuable insights into people's strengths, weaknesses, and fit within the company culture. Lastly, the author advises against lowering the bar for performance. If someone cannot consistently meet the requirements of excellence and radical truth and cannot reach the expected level within an acceptable time frame, they should be let go. The author emphasizes the importance of maintaining high standards and not compromising on excellence. Overall, this chapter highlights the significance of sorting people into the right roles, removing those who are not suited for their positions, and maintaining high standards of performance at Bridgewater. In this chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of perceiving problems effectively in order to be a great manager. Problems are seen as opportunities for improvement and should be embraced rather than avoided. The author encourages managers to have a keen eye for problems and to ensure that their team members are also able to recognize and address them. It is important to not tolerate badness and to seek solutions or escalate the issue if necessary. The author suggests using the analogy of a restaurateur constantly tasting the food to emphasize the need for managers to constantly evaluate and address problems. Having multiple perspectives and encouraging people to bring problems to your attention can help in perceiving problems more effectively. The author also provides tools such as issues logs, metrics, surveys, checklists, outside consultants, and internal auditors to help catch and address problems. It is important to be specific about problems and avoid using vague language. The author also warns against the frog in the boiling water problem, where people become accustomed to and accept unacceptable problems. It is crucial to fix problems or escalate them if they cannot be fixed. Overall, the chapter emphasizes the importance of perceiving problems and taking action to address them in order to be an effective manager. In this chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of diagnosing problems to understand their root causes. The author argues that all problems are just manifestations of their root causes, so it is crucial to diagnose and understand what the problems are symptomatic of. The author advises against dealing with problems as one-offs and instead encourages a holistic approach that looks at both the design and the people involved. The chapter highlights that diagnosis is foundational to progress and quality relationships. By engaging in an honest and collaborative exploration of problems with the people around you, you can gain a better understanding of why these problems occur and work towards fixing them. This process not only fosters good management, but also leads to personal and organizational growth and the establishment of deep and meaningful relationships. The author provides a set of questions to ask when diagnosing problems, including asking the person who experienced the problem about their suboptimality, asking the manager about the responsible party. By asking these questions, you can identify the gap between what should have happened and what actually happened and determine whether the problem lies in the design or the behavior of the people involved. The chapter also emphasizes the importance of identifying root causes, which are described using adjectives rather than verbs. The author encourages continuous diagnosis to categorize, understand, and observe the evolution of different parts of your mission or system over time. By doing so, you can synthesize a comprehensive understanding of how your mission is working and how it can be modified to improve. The chapter concludes by discussing the drill-down technique, which involves gaining a deep understanding of a department or subdepartment that is experiencing problems. This process includes listing the problems, identifying root causes, and designing a plan to address them. The author emphasizes the need for collaboration and active participation from the people involved in order to achieve an accurate diagnosis and develop an effective plan. Overall, this chapter highlights the importance of diagnosing problems and understanding their root causes in order to achieve progress, improve relationships, and drive organizational growth. By adopting a systematic approach to diagnosis and involving all relevant parties, you can effectively address problems and work towards excellence. In this chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of putting things in perspective before moving forward. They suggest taking the time to reflect on past experiences and diagnose what went right and what went wrong. By understanding how the mission is operating, we can make sustainable progress and improve it. One way to put things in perspective is by telling the story. This involves looking back at how we got to where we are and highlighting important events and consequences. By doing this, we can design a plan for the future and ensure that everyone understands and believes in it. The author even suggests having new employees listen to tapes of the story to bring them up to date. The chapter also introduces the concept of above the line and below the line thinking. Above the line discussions focus on the main points and how they relate to the overall goal. Details are referenced only to understand the major points, not to dissect minor ones. Below the line discussions, on the other hand, focus on details for their own sake, often covering irrelevant information. The author encourages navigating between the two levels of thinking and practicing the ability to move coherently from one major point to the next. Overall, this chapter emphasizes the importance of reflection, storytelling, and understanding different levels of thinking in order to make progress and achieve goals. In this chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of designing your organization like a mission in order to achieve your goals. The mission consists of different parts, such as people and resources, that work together to produce outcomes. The author advises against focusing solely on what is coming at you and instead encourages reflecting on your responsibilities and how your mission should operate to achieve your goals. The chapter also highlights the iterative nature of the design process. It takes time, testing, and learning from mistakes to create an efficient mission. The author suggests visualizing alternative missions and their outcomes before making a choice. This involves imagining different scenarios with different people, tools, and incentives to achieve goals. Furthermore, the author emphasizes the importance of considering second and third order consequences, rather than solely focusing on first order consequences. First order consequences may be desirable or undesirable, but the subsequent consequences could be the opposite. It is crucial to think about the long-term effects of decisions. The chapter also discusses the importance of building the organization around goals rather than tasks. Departments should be organized based on logical groupings and should be self-sufficient to have control over the resources needed to achieve their goals. The author advises against building the organization to fit the people, but rather creating jobs based on the work that needs to be done. Additionally, the chapter emphasizes the need for clear delineation of responsibilities and reporting lines. Full reporting should be avoided as it causes confusion and diminishes focus on clear goals. The author suggests creating an organizational chart that resembles a pyramid with straight lines down that don't cross. The chapter also provides tools for effective organization, such as maintaining a procedures manual and using checklists. These tools help ensure tasks are completed and prevent job slip, which occurs when a job changes without being explicitly thought through and agreed upon. Lastly, the chapter emphasizes the importance of having good controls in place to prevent dishonesty and maintain trust. Auditing procedures should be conducted by individuals outside of the department being audited, and the procedures should not be made known to those being audited. Overall, this chapter provides valuable insights into designing an efficient organization that can effectively achieve its goals. By considering the mission-like nature of the organization and implementing the suggested principles and tools, individuals can create a well-designed system that maximizes outcomes. In this thrilling chapter, the author takes us on a journey of determination and perseverance. They remind us that in order to achieve greatness, we must be willing to push through the challenges that come our way. The chapter begins with a powerful statement, "Do what you set out to do." It's a simple concept, but one that holds immense power. The author emphasizes that we have the ability to make great things happen, but it requires action on our part. We can't just sit back and hope for success to come knocking on our door. We must actively pursue our goals and dreams. As we delve deeper into the chapter, the author introduces us to the idea of pushing through. They acknowledge that there will be times when we face obstacles and setbacks. It's during these moments that we have a choice to make. We can either continue plodding along, accepting the status quo, or we can summon our inner strength and push through to achieve our desired outcome. The author makes it clear that the choice should be obvious. If we truly want to make a difference and accomplish our goals, we must be willing to go that extra mile. We must be willing to face adversity head on and not let it deter us from our path. Throughout the chapter, the author shares inspiring stories of individuals who have embraced this principle. From athletes who push through physical pain to entrepreneurs who overcome countless failures, these stories serve as a reminder that greatness is within our reach if we are willing to put in the effort. In conclusion, this chapter serves as a powerful reminder that we have the power to shape our own destiny. By doing what we set out to do and pushing through the challenges that come our way, we can achieve greatness. So let's embrace this principle and make great things happen in our lives. In this chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of recognizing the power of knowing how to deal with not knowing. They explain that the ability to handle uncertainty is far more powerful than having all the answers because there is always more that we don't know than what we do know. The author encourages readers to embrace the power of asking questions and seeking advice from believable people. They highlight that finding the right questions is just as important as finding the answers. Successful people are great at asking important questions and seeking out the answers. The goal is to find the best answer, not necessarily to have the best answer already in your head. The author also emphasizes the importance of constantly worrying about what you might be missing and seeking the criticism of others to improve. They advise never making important decisions without consulting at least 3 believable people and actively engaging in a dialogue to understand their reasoning. By following these principles, readers can become better decision makers and handle their responsibilities more successfully. In this chapter, the author introduces the concept of making decisions based on logical calculations of expected value. They emphasize the importance of considering both the probabilities and the payoffs of the consequences when making decisions. The author also highlights the need to ensure that the probability of unacceptable outcomes or the risk of ruin is eliminated. They argue that the cost of a bad decision is equal to or greater than the reward of a good decision, making it crucial to understand what you don't know. The author encourages readers to recognize opportunities where there isn't much to lose but a lot to gain, even if the probability of the gain happening is low. They share personal experiences of pursuing risk-reward ratios with a huge upside and very little downside, despite the small probability of success. Furthermore, the author emphasizes the value of accurately assessing the probability of being right when making decisions. They caution against giving opinions too quickly and instead suggest reflecting harder on whether the answer is right and seeking input from others to increase the probability of being correct. They explain that raising the probability of being right can be more valuable than simply going from probably wrong to probably right. Lastly, the author advises against betting too much on anything and instead recommends making 15 or more good, uncorrelated bets. This approach helps to diversify risk and increase the chances of overall success. Overall, this chapter provides valuable insights into making logical decisions based on expected value calculations and understanding the importance of probabilities in decision making. It offers practical advice for minimizing risks and maximizing rewards in various situations. In this chapter, the author introduces several principles for effective decision-making and prioritization. The first principle is the 80-20 rule, which states that 80 of the results come from 20 of the effort. This means that it's important to identify the key 20 and focus on those tasks first. The author also advises against being a perfectionist, as it can lead to spending too much time on minor details at the expense of more important tasks. Instead, it's better to be an effective imperfectionist and focus on solutions that broadly work well. The author emphasizes the importance of distinguishing between important and unimportant things and dealing with the important things first. They caution against both detail anxiety, which is worrying too much about unimportant details, and mistaking small things for unimportant things, as some small things can be very important. Timing is also a crucial factor in decision making. The author suggests considering the trade-off between acquiring additional information and the costs of postponing a decision. Some decisions are best made after acquiring more information, while others are best made sooner rather than later. Prioritization is another key principle discussed in this chapter. The author advises identifying and completing all the must-dos before moving on to the like-to-dos. It's important to get the must-dos above the bar and strive for excellence before focusing on less important tasks. The author warns against being distracted by nice-to-dos and emphasizes the importance of dealing with the important things first. The author also highlights the importance of weighing the pros and cons when making choices. It's essential to consider all the pros and cons rather than dismissing something because it has cons. Poor decision makers tend to argue against something without properly weighing all the pros and cons. Additionally, the author cautions against unproductively identifying possibilities without assigning probabilities. It's important to prioritize possibilities based on their likelihoods and importance. Lastly, the author introduces the concept of by and large to avoid derailing discussions. By using this phrase, statements can be understood as generally true, even if there are exceptions. This helps keep conversations focused on the main point rather than getting sidetracked by exceptions. Overall, this chapter provides valuable principles for effective decision-making and prioritization. By following these principles, individuals can make better choices, focus on what's important, and avoid getting overwhelmed by minor details. In this chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of synthesizing information and understanding the connections between different events and outcomes. They explain that in order to truly understand how a system or mission is working, one must collect, analyze, and sort through various types of outcomes over time. The author provides an example of categorizing outcomes by type and quality, and how this process can help identify the root causes of problems and lead to improvements. The author also discusses the concept of acceptable rate of improvement, stating that simply seeing improvement is not enough if the level of performance is still below the desired standard. They encourage readers to think harder or escalate the issue if their best solution is not good enough. Furthermore, the author advises against compromising on things that should not be compromised, emphasizing the importance of maintaining high standards. They discuss the temptation to please everyone and the need to make decisions that may not make everyone happy, but are necessary for achieving goals. The chapter concludes with the author expressing their belief that there is always more to learn and discover, and encourages readers to write down their own principles and values. They also discuss the importance of facing reality, acknowledging weaknesses, and continuously learning and improving. Overall, this chapter highlights the importance of synthesizing information, setting high standards, and continuously learning and improving in order to achieve success.